So I wanted to tell you before I forget that I have a book published with all of this information and more in it. It's called Trauma Healing in the Yoga Zone, and you can order it from online. Um, thank you. Thank you. All right, I'm going to go back into the screen share. So as I mentioned, we're going to go into the practice of yoga now, and I'm going to point out different regulating aspects of it while we do it. So you can, hopefully you're in comfortable clothes, a space where you can, we're going to be doing mostly chair postures and breathing, so you don't need to have much space, but hopefully you'll just have a comfortable place to sit. Um, so are people, I don't know if people are back or not, but I guess I'll continue as if they are. All right. So we're going to start with one yoga pose just to get a feel for the possible benefits. And then we're going to talk about the healing power of the poses in general. So this is like a little after break refresher. So we're going to do the half spinal twist in a seated position. Um, and so you can just sit up straight. Notice if your shoulders are released, jaw released, and you can roll your head around a bit if you find your neck a little bit stiff. It's always a good thing to do. And I guess I'm sort of starting the process right now. Um, but yeah, okay, I will. So I have scripts written out in the book that give people who aren't yoga teachers a kind of guide to be able to offer experience without having a yoga certificate, teacher certificate. And so what I like to do is actually read from the script so you'll have the exact experience that I intend. Um, so we're going to start with a warm up for the half spinal twist. So you can raise your arms overhead and stretch up. Inhale, exhale, and bring the arms down, twisting a little bit from side to side in whatever way is comfortable for you. And we can do a little seated cat-cow kind of thing where you arch your spine, have the head back a little bit, shoulders back, and then straightening the spine, and then do the same thing in the opposite direction. You can curve the spine in a C curve and release the head. And slowly, smoothly, again, arching the spine, going back into that seated cow type pose. Take a few breaths. Notice you can breathe more deeply in this pose. Okay, and then release that back into the C curve, head forward, leaning back, breathing. Take 3 breaths in this position. And your next inhale, you can sit up straight again. Um, place, yeah. I guess you can't see me too well in this Zoom configuration, but that's all right. You can place your left hand on the outside of your right knee. Use that as a bit of a lever to start twisting around to the right from the waist up the torso to the head and neck, looking over your right shoulder, releasing the shoulders. And now you can take 3 slow, deep breaths. If you want to, you can extend the spine upward as you inhale and twist a little bit farther around to the back as you exhale, if you want to do that. Okay, so you're twisting all the way around now. You're noticing your breathing. You may have to untwist a little bit to take a full deep inhale, which is okay. Okay, 1 full deep breath. Twist around as far as you can on the exhale. On the inhale, slowly come back around to center, releasing the arms, releasing the torso. Take 3 breaths. And what you have done is focused on the breath. You've twisted so that there's a deeper exhale than there is in normal breathing, which is our parasympathetic balancing aspect of the breath. You've also twisted the spine, which corrects any dislocations. This pose has also been known as a do-it-yourself chiropractic session. You've released the shoulders, so there's a parasympathetic effect of releasing different muscle groups and breathing more deeply. And you've also given your neck a little bit of movement. The movement allows old toxins to be released from the muscles on the, when they're squeezed. And then when they're released, fresh blood supply can come into that area. So you refreshed your neck area and your back in the pose. So we'll do it to the other side now. So we can inhale. As you exhale, slowly twist to the left. Bring the right palm to the outside of the left knee, twisting from the waist, ribs, neck, and head. So you're looking over your left shoulder. You're breathing. The shoulders are relaxed. Again, you can extend the spine on the inhale if you want to, and then twist a little bit farther around on the exhale if that suits you, or you can just stay still. And you're breathing, exhaling deeply as you twist. Okay, 1 more deep breath. Twist around to the back, exhaling deeply. On the inhale, you can release the torso, arms and shoulders, and move the arms around if you want. Okay, that's 1 complete half spinal twist. If you'd like, you can get up for a moment and walk around, look around the room, do a little bit of orientation, letting your eyes go where they want to go. which is an opportunity to further get into the present moment, letting your thoughts drift away, letting tension drift away, and being your most regulated self. All right, so take a few breaths on your own, and we'll talk about this a little bit more. You may feel more alert now. Your mind may be more clear. So this is just a review. One effect of, there's a lot of different benefits of this pose. One of them is that you have the opportunity to focus on your body sensations, which trains your awareness to do that, trains your nervous system to do that. So it increases interoception, that word that Dr. Porges developed for promoting greater internal noticing. It increases and then releases muscular tension, which I mentioned, which promotes relaxation and reduces anxiety. When there's tense muscles, there's the opportunity for anxiety. When you release your muscles, the anxiety goes away. There's like a direct relationship between loose muscles and lack or lower anxiety. Okay, so you're releasing weight into supportive surfaces, which facilitates contact with your own body. Having the hands on the body is very therapeutic in uh, dysregulation terms and regulating terms. So you compress the spine to squeeze out the toxins, as I mentioned. And there's a possibility of enhancing the connection between the teacher and the student, or the practitioner and the client, by sharing that experience. So those are just some of the benefits. So I'd like to speak more generally about poses, and then we'll go into another series of poses. So there are key elements of yoga poses that make them work for dysregulation. One of them is having a clear intention. So in other words, like, my arms feel tense, I'm going to do what I can to release them, or I'm shut down, I want to release that. Clear intention. And then the shape of the pose is very significant for either for reducing distress or dysregulation. Forward bending pose allows the release of tension. You don't have to hold anything up. And it relaxes the spine, and it promotes an inward focus, which is more parasympathetically oriented. So forward bending poses, no matter what they are, stimulate the parasympathetic nervous system in a good way. Backward bending poses are the opposite. They stimulate the sympathetic nervous system because they require energy to hold the pose, and they require a mental focus, and that takes energy. And the sympathetic nervous system gives you that energy, but it also activates it. So any backward bending pose will stimulate the sympathetic nervous system. So for example, if you have to go to an exam and you're really sleepy, do some backward bending poses, they do have an effect. All right, the pace that the pose is accomplished also has an effect. A faster pace stimulates the sympathetic nervous system, and the slower pace calms the whole system and increases parasympathetic tone. So there again, depending on what effect you want, you can choose the pace that you practice the pose. So we could assume, for example, that there are some vinyasa style classes where there's a very fast run through of different sun salutations, and we can just assume that that's going to stimulate your sympathetic nervous system. And I feel personally that if someone is very healthy, or particularly if they're young and healthy, they can do anything. it's not going to disrupt their autonomic nervous system. But people who are more sensitive, who have been hurt a lot, who have PTSD, who are older, they might really need to do a certain kind of pose. Like in my case, as I get older, I like to do more slower paced poses. So the final variable here is effort, because two people can do the same pose, but with an entirely different degree of effort. Like forcing it or using muscling their way through it, or you know, not being not flowing, but just be jagged. And so the effort can change, even if it's the right pose, it can change the tone in the wrong direction. So that's something to be aware of is and work with if you do find yourself putting a lot of effort into the pose, having it feel stressful. Okay, so those are the four variables, 1, 2, 3, 4, that are important to notice when you're choosing what yoga poses to do or when you're teaching them. That will change the autonomic nervous system balance. So right now we're going to move into, let's see, are we going to? Yes. Yeah, we're going to move into a yoga script that I wrote. And I'm going to stop the share so that you can perhaps see me better. Okay, so you can all see me, right? All right. Um, so first of all, we're going to do a warm up, which is not a yoga pose. Whoops, but it's very helpful um, to prepare your body for the yoga poses. So you're invited to rotate the major joints of the body, warming them up for the poses. You can start by rotating your fingers, then your wrists in both directions. You can then move your awareness up the arm, rotating the elbows, first in one direction and then the other. And then the shoulders also, rotating them in one direction and then the other. Letting that movement go for a moment, noticing your breath. As you inhale, you can raise your shoulders toward the ears. And as you exhale, you can release them. And as you inhale, again, raising the shoulders, exhale and release. On the next exhale, you can squeeze your shoulders together to the center of your chest. Inhaling and release. And now you can arch your spine, inhaling a little more deeply, getting into a cow kind of position, having the head back, which we did in the other posture that we did, and then straightening the spine. Okay, releasing the shoulders, bring your spine back to normal, and pause to take a breath. So you're invited now to move your awareness to your toes and your feet. You may want to remove your shoes. You can stretch the toes, move them around, and then rotate the ankles in both directions. Noticing the breath, continuing to breathe. You can now move your awareness up your legs to your knees. Inhale, raise the right leg straight out in front of you. Exhale as you lower it. Do the same thing with the left leg. Raise on the inhale. Lower on the exhale. And now, if you're able to, on the inhale, raise both legs at the same time. Continuing to breathe for 3 breaths. You can always put them down if it starts to feel uncomfortable. Okay, excellent. You're now invited to explore a range of motion in the spine. First, on the inhale, arching it, bringing the shoulder blades closer together. This is very similar to what we did before. And on the exhale, straighten the spine and then bend forward, letting the head fall forward a little bit. And continuing on at your own pace a few times. And after your next exhale, you can release the pose, but you can feel free to explore these movements if you want to. So this is more of a free form version of those poses. I believe in doing the poses with discipline, the way that they're supposed to be done according to yogic texts. And then I believe in setting ourselves free and moving the way we need to. It's complementary. Okay. So you can bring your awareness to your waist now. And on your next inhale, begin rotating the torso from the waist in a clockwise direction. So you're moving all the way around your stationary hips. You can exhale as you go back and inhale as you go forward. Try that on your own a few times. And the next time you come forward, just release the pose. Good. Okay. So now you can focus on relaxing the neck. Again, just rolling it around. And now you're invited to shake very slowly, shake your head yes. Up and down. As if you had no time constraints at all, as if clocks hadn't been invented yet. Okay, and do that one more time, inhaling as you raise the head and exhale as you lower it. And now we're going to tilt the right ear toward the right shoulder, feeling, your neck stretch on the opposite side. Take a breath. Raise the head now and let it fall toward the opposite shoulder. Again, breathing. So you can try that on your own a few times. Okay. So now we're going to work with the eye movements a little bit. These are the classic yogic eye movements, but the eyes have been found to have very significant links to the brainstem, to the entire brain. So they're not just eye movements. So you can now, as you inhale, look up toward the ceiling and down toward the floor as you exhale. Do that twice more on your own. And now you can do horizontal movements, keeping the head still, slowly bringing the gaze toward the far right-hand corner of the vision. And on an inhale, you can bring it back towards center, across the center of your vision, and then bring the eyes in a smooth movement over to the left corner of the eyes, continuing to breathe. And bring the eyes back to center. Do that one more time. Okay, back to center. We're going to do full circular movements now. Imagine that the circumference of your eye is the face of a clock. Going to try to touch every point on the face of the clock. So without moving your head, just bring your eyes up to 12 o'clock. Go around to 1, 2, 3, 4, and continuing around. Making full circles. Make one more full circle, trying to touch every point on the circumference. And when the eyes reach 12 again, you can close them and rub your palms briskly together, building up a heat. When you feel the heat, you can cup your hands over your eyes, letting the heat penetrate the eyes. Make sure you're still breathing fluidly, and then you can stroke the corners of your eyes back toward your temples. Okay, so now we're going to move into the pose. Oh, but maybe we can just exercise the legs. Oh, well, we did a little bit, but maybe a little bit more. Just make your own movements with your legs, whatever way you want, so that they are relaxed. And you can release that. And we're going to start the actual yoga poses. Starting with the cobra pose in a chair. It involves, don't do it yet, but it involves arching the spine backwards and releasing the shoulders and moving the head up a little bit, which we actually have already done. But this is a distinct posture, the cobra. So having the feet flat on the floor, the hands on the thighs. As you inhale, you can slowly arch the spine backwards and release the shoulders. Feel the head moving backward a little bit, the chin raising an inch or two, and now hold the pose. So your head is the head of the cobra, and your spine is the snake's body coming out of the basket. Breaths. And you can release the pose now, spontaneously moving the head and shoulders. When you hold a pose steady, it gives you more opportunity to go deeper into your actual physical experience of being in the pose. And you may notice subtle things that you've never noticed before that will help you in this process of learning to regulate more carefully. Okay, so the next pose is the forward bending pose. And these poses were chosen because they're very simple and they give you an opportunity for interoception, to tune into your actual experience in the moment in your whole body. So you can again put your palms on your thighs, inhaling, sitting up straight, extending the spine toward the ceiling. As you exhale, you can slowly bring your torso halfway down to the legs and then stop. If any of you have uncontrolled high blood pressure, heart disease, or neck injuries, I invite you to stay right here. Otherwise, you can let the torso come down over the legs as far as it goes. You can let the arms hang and take 3 breaths. On your next inhale, you can bring the hands back onto the thighs, straightening the torso with the head in a straight line with the torso. Very slowly come up to a seated position. Your eyes can be closed and release the shoulders. And when you're sitting, you can open the eyes and take 2 or 3 slow, deep breaths. So I wanted to mention that this sequence is most useful for people who are sympathetically over aroused and they need to relax. They need to ground. So that's what this series really is. If someone was already shut down with dorsal vagal energy, then I would create a much faster paced experience to get the energy moving. But that would have to be slowly phased in because no one who's dissociated or depressed is going to jump right into a really active pose. So everything is calibrated based on the person. Okay, so we're going to do the seated half moon pose now. So sitting up straight with the left hand on, if you're ready, left hand on top of the left thigh. You're invited to slowly raise the right arm and with both buttocks on the chair, leading from the waist, lean the torso to the left with a relaxed shoulder and take 3 breaths. Breathing into that increased volume of available lung because of the position. After your third exhale, you can bring the arm back down beside you. Then we repeat the same thing to the other side. So you're sitting up straight. You're inhaling as you raise the left arm and slowly tilt the body to the right, arcing your arm overhead. Taking 3 deep breaths. All right, and on your next exhale, you can release the arm down. Take a few breaths. Now the next pose is a little bit sympathetically activating. It's the chair pose. It's kind of a play on words here because we're in a chair, but see if I can show you. So if you haven't done it, what we're going to do is we're going to have the arms uh, overhead, but um, at a 45-degree angle, approximately facing forward. And we're going to lift the buttocks off the chair, whoops, and hold the pose, just like that. So we're holding, that's hard for you to see. We're we're standing with bent knees as if we're about to sit down. And I'm going to take 2 breaths. You can sit down as soon as you need to, and then slowly sit down, releasing the pose. So that one, as you can see, is quite activating. It's hard to hold it. It requires energy, it requires focus. So that's an example of a sympathetically challenging posture, um, which it might be a little bit too intense for someone who's depressed or dissociated, but maybe not. Maybe it's what another person needs to get themselves back online and present. So that's a kind of skill that grows over time to know what a particular person needs. Okay. So we did the half spinal twist already, which is part of the um, flow here. And then we're going to end with a standing mountain pose. So you can stand up and having your feet securely in contact with the floor. You can feel 3 points of contact, the heels and both sides of the front of the foot, the big toe and the little toe, the pinky. Notice the breath. On an inhale, you can bring the arms straight up overhead, releasing the shoulders, holding the pose, feeling like you are immovable. You're a mountain. Nobody could move you unless you want to be moved. Taking 3 breaths. Okay, and releasing the 3rd breath, bringing the arms down, and you can again sit down. So would anyone like to try to analyze the pose, whether it's stimulating or relaxing in terms of the nervous system? I mean, it's a little tricky, but I thought I'd see if anyone wants to try.
Kind of seems like both to me.
That's exactly right. You got it on the first answer. It seems like you might be good at it.
Transitions between during the transition of movement from seated to standing and arms up. It's like it switched back and forth, the holding and the moving.
It did. Yep, you're right. I'm so excited the way you're able to analyze it. So, after only having like a couple hours of class, that's great. So, yeah, this is the way I'm developing teaching yoga for people who are dysregulated. All right. Well, are there any other let's see, I have a little bit more information, but are there any more questions or comments right now about doing the postures? So while you're thinking about that, I can get the share back up. There it is. Okay, so as you can see, I'm skipping over a lot of information. If you want to take the yoga teachers training course next year, I'm going into everything in depth. So, okay, so I'm moving on to the breath now. So the breath has to do with the movement of what's called prana, which translates as life energy. And it can be, I mean, I interpret it, the breath, as the spiritual element in spirituality. Because the word spiritual comes from the Latin of breath or of wind. And that is consistent with what yoga philosophy teaches, is that the prana is our life force. So we're breathing it in all the time, but according to my training, it's not the same thing as air. It's a substance in the air, and it's absorbed when we inhale, it's absorbed into the sinuses and carried directly into the brain through semi-permeable membranes. So, and then it moves through the nerves of our physical body and different aspects of our subtle body, and it's our life, it's our energy, and its movement can be controlled through the application of various breathing techniques. So that's actually what we're doing in the breathing practices. We're controlling the movement of the prana. I'm not going into that much detail right now, but there's a lot to it. There's a real lot to it. So I'd like to teach the breathing practices first, and then if we have time, I can go more into that. Let's see if there's anything else. Yeah, there's a little bit that I wanted to say. Yeah. Let's see. Okay. No, that's not it. Do. You get those little peeks at different different aspects of the training. Maybe this is it. Yeah, there it is. So just as I did in the yoga postures, I picked out some key elements of the breathing practices for nervous system regulation. And one of them is the depth of the breath. A deeper breath promotes more parasympathetic activity, and a more shallow breath, there's a mistake there. Shallow breath is more sympathetic. I don't think I can change it right now. Can I? Yes, I can. More sympathetic. Okay, sorry about that. So the rate is another factor, which goes hand in hand with the depth. A slower breath can promote more parasympathetic nervous system states, and a fast breath generates energy and sympathetic arousal. Then there's the pattern of the breath. There are a lot of different patterns that are taught in yoga. One of them is the 3-part deep breath, which is a little bit of a shift from regular chest breathing. Then there's alternate nostril breathing. There's breath with throat constriction. There's breath with humming. So different patterns to analyze. And then there's which nostril to use in particular situations with particular people. Because the left nostril in the yogic physiology is said to be cooling and more parasympathetic. And the right nostril is said to be heating and more sympathetic. And that I find to be true. And it's very, very powerful to use one nostril or the other to achieve the goal that you have. So there are some of the elements that I use to choose which breathing exercise to do with a particular person. Okay, so any questions there? Okay. Well, we're going to move into the basic breathing practice. And I think I'm going to stop the share again. There we go. So that maybe you can see me if you need to. We're going to start with the 3-part deep breath, which is very basic, but very important. So if you're ready, you can just take a few breaths. Sitting up straight with your feet on the floor, and you can inhale now. Focus on inhaling into the chest, and then exhale. Inhaling into the chest, filling it up with air. So that activates the sympathetic nervous system. And now we can do the opposite. You can put your hands on your belly if you want. And slowly inhale primarily into the belly, feeling it expand and contract. And do that 2 more times. So that's the first part of the 3-part breath. The second part is placing your hands on your rib cage, feeling them expand out to the side. So when you're ready, on your next inhalation, you can expand the air into the abdomen and then the rib cage. And then exhale and contract. Inhale, expanding the rib cage. Exhale and contract. One more time. Good. Now we're going to add the third part, this sympathetically activating part. You can place your hands on your chest or your collarbones if you'd like. And inhaling into the abdomen, rib cage, and chest. And exhale, chest, ribs, and abdomen. And do that 3 more times on your own. Good. And after your next exhale, you can release the hands. Notice if you feel any effects from that 3-part deep breath. You can bring a lot more oxygen into the body with this deep breathing. And it obviously has a much greater effect on the parasympathetic nervous system. And remember, each time you inhale, you're activating sympathetic, and each time you exhale, you're activating parasympathetic. Like the waves of the ocean. So when you let your breath return to normal. And the other breaths that I include are the alternate nostril breathing, which is this the 3-part deep breath done through one nostril and then the other. And another breath balancing posture, which we do like when we have a stuffed nose or have trouble using the breath to regulate the body. And then a final breath is the B breath, which has a lot of health benefits. So I think we can do a little bit of alternate nostril breathing and then go into the B breaths, and that will be the end of the course for today. So if anyone has any questions that you're holding back, it would be great to put them in the chat right now, and then I'll know exactly how much time to leave for questions and answers. I'll just wait a minute and see if anybody does that. Okay. Well, there's still time. All right. So the alternate nostril breathing, very powerful for balancing the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems. And it's very easy to do. It's very safe. You can do it for as long as you want. I'm not aware of any restrictions. And it's a great thing to do, like when you're sitting in the dentist's waiting room, waiting for your appointment, something like that, because it is so calming. All right, so I'm going to demonstrate once, and then we can do it together. So I'm going to inhale with both nostrils open. And I'm going to make this configuration with my right hand with the second and third fingers down. All right, so I'm inhaling. I'm blocking off the right nostril and I'm exhaling with the left, slowly and silently. I'm inhaling with the left, blocking it off with the last 2 fingers and exhaling through the right. Inhaling through the right. And exhaling through the left. So that's my demonstration. So we can all do it together now. So we can start again by sitting up straight, blocking the left nostril, the right nostril with the right thumb, I'm sorry. And as we inhale, feel the slow, silent breath. Block it, the left nostril off with your last 2 fingers of the right hand and slowly exhale through the right nostril. Inhale through the right nostril. Block it off and exhale through the left. Inhale through the left. Exhale through the right. We'll do it 3 more times. Inhaling through the right. Blocking it off and exhaling through the left. Inhaling through the left. Blocking it off. Exhaling through the right. Inhaling through the right. Blocking it off and exhaling through the left. Inhaling through the left. And block it off and exhale through the right. This will be our last breath, inhaling through the right. And block it off and exhale through the left. Inhale through the left. And block it off and finally exhale through the right. Then you can bring your right arm down and sit for a moment, feeling the effects of the breath. From my experience, these breathing practices really work. Many times I've been anxious about something and I would start to do either the 3-part breath or the alternate nostril breathing, and the anxiety goes away. Okay, there's one more practice which is very much fun, which is the bee breath, Brahmari. Very easy, also has great beneficial effects. There's research being done with people who hear voices, because when you're doing this practice, you can't think at all. You can't really hear anything else. And it creates a lot of nitric oxide in the body and other beneficial substances. All right, so I'm going to give one practice example, and then we can do it together. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to inhale deeply, and as I exhale, I'm going to press my tongue gently on the roof of my mouth and hum. That's all. So I'll do it once. Okay, so we can do one together now if you want to. And then I'll show you a variation, which is very exciting. So if you want to join, you can inhale. When you get to the top of the inhale, place the roof of your mouth, place your tongue lightly against the roof of your mouth and hum. You can do it 2 more times on your own. Okay, so this variation, which we're going to do also 3 times, is that there's different variations, but this one is just to block your ears while you do this practice. So you can just take your index finger and push this little cartilage into your ear so it more or less blocks it. So we can all inhale now. On the exhale, you do the practice and block off your ears. Two more times. Okay. So, what did you notice?
Yep. Adjusting it adjusts the pressure through your sinuses and everything, and it alleviates the pressure there.
Yeah, I didn't think of that. Yeah, it gets louder. Gets a lot louder. So it feels like for a few minutes it becomes my whole world. Um, yeah, and thank you for the comment in the chat. Yeah, I'm glad that that was your experience. I don't know if people saw it or not, but show chat. I don't know. I can't even get it. Oh, there it is. Okay. Um, 23 new ones. Okay. So I'm going to try to save the chat, by the way, so I can read it. Yeah, it must be one of these little dots. Yeah, there we go.
Just prior to or at the beginning of the breathing exercises, Caitlin actually shared another question in the chat.
What is it?
Kelsey, you can read it.
Okay.
Oh, is it
She mentioned that during the last time that you had presented in our social work supervision in the fall, that
yeah.
knowing that the parasympathetic impact at the left nostril and left side of the body, she wondered if there's any significant impacts on regulation or more dorsal vagal effects on individuals that are left-handed versus right-handed.
That's an interesting question. I'm not aware of any research that has been done on that. I'm left-handed myself, so I'd love to hear the answer, but that hasn't been researched as far as I know. Maybe, maybe it will be in the future. Yeah. Good question. So I'm available for a few more questions and before we end the program. Questions, comments?
Joanne, do you think that there is potential for adapting because some of the elements, might be a little taxing, but adapting some of the same theory for care for patients, in chronic illness or and even palliative or hospice stages of their lives?
Yeah, I think there is, but it just has to be a gentle intervention. Um, I have not worked in that field myself, but I know that there is work being done with yoga and breathing for that patient group. Um,
Thank you.
so I wish I had more information right now. Yeah,
I'll
I could
definitely
try
look
to look it
into
up
it and
real
and
quickly.
share. No, no worries, no worries. I'll I'm delving into exploring other areas, and I'd be glad to share with anything that I find.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, this field is pretty wide open in terms of polyvagal theory and yoga and nervous system regulation because it's fairly new. But I think it's a fabulous time to be entering a field like psychotherapy or nursing or 100 other things because all this information is so powerful and so much better than what we knew before. Yeah. Yeah, Dr. Vanderkolk has said like he likes EMDR also. I don't know if you've heard of that, but it's a trauma therapy. He said that he feels like refunding the money to everyone who he saw as a patient prior to learning all of these things, because he said they weren't really it weren't helping them, and now they really are getting helped. So it's a new era in trauma and psychotherapy, in my opinion. Um, and that's pretty exciting. Such alleviation of suffering.
Do you think that the yoga and polyvagal applications at EMDR are complementary, or is there
Sure.
benefit to utilizing both with certain patients?
Absolutely, yes. I mean, I think that the focus on somatic therapy has changed the way EMDR is practiced also. Like when I learned it, there was not much emphasis on helping someone get experience their body sensations. And now there is. So they are all um, cooperatively helping each other. Yep. So there's a good website, Polyvagal, the Polyvagal Institute. It's pvi.org, I think. And they have long lists of resources that are bringing together these different fields. You know, there's videos, research articles, conference papers, all kinds of things. I want to thank you all for coming. I really appreciate your time and for giving me the opportunity to teach something that I love. And I think I've gained new skills. Thank you. I've gained new skills in Zoom presentations today, which I'm happy about. So I'm generally leaving you feeling really good. Yeah. All right. Well, maybe I'll see some of you again as we work for light. And thanks again.